Welcome to PEP Talk, everyone. I'm your host, Jessie Pepe Park, and this evening I'll be talking to not one, but two beauty queens, both of whom are Jamaicans. Stay tuned. This one will totally blow your mind. We'll be right back. So, Brother Pooh, thank you so much for coming to the show.
To be in these places at the time that. So yeah, I'm in the right place at the right time.
Hear what time now? I told you the Jamaican accent was going to come out. I'd love to be able to name all the bands, and I can't. But I know I'm going to miss.
You've been called selfless, you've been called kind, loving, all kinds of stuff. We know you're passionate about. Talk about your little 10-month-old son.
Yeah.
Talk about that, your pride and joy, of course.
I love my son. His name is Jawari, and he was born on Christmas Day. He's one.
So, Ms. Grier, welcome to PEP Talk. It's so delightful to have you here.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
And I have to tell you that you are absolutely more beautiful than your photos.
Thank you.
You get that a lot, don't you?
Sometimes.
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 She's being bashful. Okay, so I know you have Jamaican roots. Yes. Talk to me about your Jamaican heritage.
I was born in Chapelton, in Clarendon, and I grew up in Spaldings and Maypen. And I came to the U.S. when I was 14. So my formidable years were in Jamaica, so there's a lot of history there and a lot of great memories.
And how has the history being in Jamaica and leaving when you're 14 prepared you for U.S. of A?
It was interesting because, coming up here as a teenager, it's a lot different because you're in a new environment and you have to make new friends and there's a lot that happens and you really just have to look back at all you've been taught, from when you were growing up to be strong and be resilient. Still make sure be nice to everybody. Grandma always said, treat people the way you want to be treated and they'll treat you back the same way. So that really helped me a lot through high school.
That helped you a lot. And you have no trace of your Jamaican accent now that you're talking to me. And we want to verify that you are authentic and from Jamaica. So give us something in patois.
Chaman, yeah, a joke?
All right. We love that. We love that. Okay, so let's talk about what you're doing when you're not in pageants. What does your typical day look like?
Wow. I work for a telecommunications company. I work for Comcast, so that's my schedule is usually pretty busy. I'm a mom of a 20-year-old student athlete who's a student at the University of Georgia. She's a track and field student athlete, and she keeps me pretty busy because we travel and watch her compete throughout the year, indoor and outdoor season across the country. So that's pretty interesting. My husband, of course, we try to make sure I'm balancing that schedule of being a great wife, a great mother, and trying to make sure I'm also balancing my career. So it's been pretty interesting.
Okay, and you talk about balance. So how hard was it for you to balance raising your 20-year-old daughter, taking care of your husband, doing your career, and then still finding the time to enter in Mrs. Maryland competition?
Wow. Now, that 20-year-old daughter of mine convinced me to take this journey. It was interesting. She competed in the Miss Maryland Teen USA twice, and one of the directors thought I was her sister and convinced me to compete with her for the Miss and the Teen pageant, and I was like, no way. Then they told us there was a Mrs. pageant, and my daughter made me promise that I'd compete with her as a mother-daughter team, but she went off to college. So she made me hold true to my promise. It's interesting when we teach our children things and say you have to hold true to your word. Because I had promised her I would do it, I still had to, even though she was away at school. So I decided to venture on the journey, and it's been a wonderful journey. My passion is mentoring young women and youth and trying to help them achieve their inner greatness and just trying to help them find their path. Because a lot of our kids have a lot of dreams and they really don't have a lot of support that they need. They may be from homes with either a single family household or even with a dual family household, but they don't have that grounding and support. And I've just tried to make sure I'm able to help bring that word forward of the need to have a lot of mentors.
Awesome. Now we want to talk specifically about the Mrs. Maryland competition.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about the competition. What is the age range for the people who are entering, and what's the application process like?
The age range is 26 through to 56. You have to have been married for at least 6 months. Wow. And at least 6 months. And the 3 areas of competition is, first of all, you have the interview portion, which is worth 50% of your score. There is the fitness, which is worth 25%. And then there is your evening gown competition, which is worth 25%. The interview portion is a one-on-one interview with individual judges, where you get 5 minutes with each judge to talk about your platform, your community involvement, and your passion and your purpose, and really a reason why you should be the next Mrs. Maryland. The fitness part of it, really, it's compression shorts and a sports bra, sports top, and it's really just showing your fitness. You don't have to be a size 0, you just have to be healthy,
Right.
and live a healthy lifestyle and show that you're living a healthy lifestyle. The evening gown competition, I think, is one of the favorite portions for everyone because you get to dress up, and everybody wants to look like a queen or a princess.
Okay.
So it's pretty intense.
It's intense. And do you actually wear a swimsuit segment, or is it just a fitness part?
Just the fitness part.
Just the fitness.
So yes, the international system doesn't have a swimsuit portion. It's the fitness, which is the compression shorts, sports shorts, and a sports bra.
Okay, and how comfy. You have a great body, by the way.
Thank you.
And before we came on camera, she told me that you dropped from a size 8 to a size 4.
Yes, I dropped from a size 8 down to a size 2-4.
2-4.
Yeah, so my skirts, it varies, but sometimes I wear 2 outfits and sometimes I wear a 4. It was a lot of hard work. I was waking up every morning at 5 o'clock, going to a trainer at 5:30, and I did that for 7 or 8 months, and I dropped down. My weight just kept dropping. I kept not being able to wear any of the clothes I had home, and my poor seamstress, I was living in her shop like every week. I was taking a new bag of clothes, or in the mall shopping for something else. So it's a lot of hard work, but I was determined because I wanted to make sure I showed that I had commitment, not
Okay.
just to my platform and my purpose, but also to making sure I had the opportunity to be Mrs. Maryland and to use the power of the crown to get my message across, which is what it's
Awesome.
really all about.
Let's talk about your support system. Your husband,
Yes.
your daughter kind of pulled a fast one on you.
Yes.
She went off to college, but I'm sure she was still supporting you.
Yes.
Talk about that support system that every queen needs to get there.
Wow. Whether you're a Mrs., a Miss, or a teen, your family and your friends and your support system is critical. My husband is my biggest cheerleader. He gets a kick out of it because when we go out to events and I have to do appearances or I'm on air, he's called Mr. Maryland, and he gets a kick out of it. He's like, yes, I'm Mr. Maryland. I'm with her. So he really loves that. My mom and my dad and my girlfriends are all supportive. My team at work, every time I mention something, they're all supporting me. And a bunch of them came out to the competition to support me. Our daughter, I tell you, her and her girlfriends in Facebook, it's pretty interesting because all through the competition they were posting messages and sending out great wishes for me, and it really helps because sometimes you really can feel like it's a lot of weight on your shoulder because it's a lot of hard work. It looks easy from the outside, and it looks like, oh, she's just the queen, she's wearing a sash and a tiara. It's a lot more than that. There's a lot of work that goes into it, a lot of dedication, and I tell you, you have to be committed to it.
And it's obvious that you're committed. We were rapping before, and she's so passionate about it. But I want to talk specifically about the entrance. How many people were in this competition?
For the local competitions, they're usually between 5 and 8 women locally. For the Mrs. division, there's usually not a whole lot of women. And I really want to stress the importance of having a great representation, of having women that are involved in their community, involved in being of service to others, to get out there and use this as a way to get your message across. Because the power of the crown is great. I've been able to use the power of the crown to promote mentoring and to promote my platform and things that are passionate to me, to help change my community. It's really the means to an end. It's a path that you can take that can help you get that message across.
Okay, and this competition was held in February of
It
this
was
year?
in February, yes.
Okay, and what are some of the roles and responsibilities that you have to do as Mrs. Maryland 2011?
Well, one of the other roles that I have, in addition to promoting mentoring, I'm an ambassador for Big Brothers Big Sisters of the National Capital Area. So I work with them for recruitment, as well as I'm working on getting a grant for them now to help them with their efforts in being able to support some of the initiatives that they have. Like they have an initiative, Children of Promise, which is children that have parents that are incarcerated. And it's one parent that they have, and that one parent may be incarcerated. So they really need that added support. So we're working on a foundation grant right now with my company to try to get that through for them. And in addition to that, having them do PSAs across Comcast in order to get that message across, to try to promote mentoring. Go Red for Women is also the national foundation that the international system sponsors. And we work with the Go Red for Women locally to promote that, healthy lifestyles, healthy eating, being aware of some of the signs of heart disease for women, and making sure that we're doing all that we can, whether it's eating healthy or working out or just walking maybe 10, 15 minutes a day, you know, making sure you're drinking 6 or 8 glasses of water, eating fruit, eating vegetables, just some of the really down-home healthy things that you need to do. I do appearances across Washington, D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. This weekend I have 3 appearances. Last weekend I had 2. I have a couple other events coming up that I have to do appearances for. A lot of them are related to whether it's my platform of mentoring or just volunteering in the community.
Okay, so let's talk about how your life has changed. We know you're getting some notoriety. You're all over the place. You're Mrs. Maryland, for crying out loud. But talk about the personal feeling that you have having won this competition.
Wow. You know, it's interesting. When we went to Chicago in July, one of the directors gave a story that said, "You don't know my life." And people look at you and they think everything is great and they think you got there easy, but they don't know the path that you took. One of the passions for me for mentoring is because I went through bullying all through high school when I came here as a teenager. And I didn't have a mentor, and I didn't have anyone to help guide me, and I didn't have anyone to help me through the transition period. And that really kind of took me out of my element to some degree when I was in high school. And I look to that now, and I look to where I was then, and look to where I've been able to get to now, to look back and say, you don't know my life. It looks easy, or it may look like I got here easy, but there was a long road to get here. I'm still that same person. I haven't changed. I didn't change from when I was in high school. I'm still the same me. I may look differently, but it's the same me inside. My grandmother always said, beauty's only skin deep. You have to be beautiful from inside.
Exactly.
And if you're beautiful from inside, then it shows outside, and the rest is irrelevant.
Absolutely irrelevant. No, one more question before you leave.
Yes.
How has the relationship between you and your daughter improved since you took her advice, entered the competition, and now she has bragging rights? My mom is Mrs. Maryland 2011.
Oh, let me tell you. Every time I go to her school, my husband and I go down to visit her at school, or we go to her competitions nationwide. It's been interesting because the kids, one of her competitions for SEC championships, she was the first runner-up for SEC championships for high jump, and we took pictures with them, and I had my sash on. And all the girls came running up because all of them didn't know I was competing, but about 6 of them did, and they all came running up and hugging me and saying, "Cindy, you didn't tell me, how come you didn't tell me?" So she gets a lot of kind of thrill out of it because everybody's like, "Your mom's a beauty queen," and she's like, "Oh, that's just mommy." And I'm going, "Yeah, it's just me, it's just mommy, same me."
Awesome. It was a pleasure rapping with you. But before you go, I'd like for you to leave a message to any people, especially women and or men, because there are some male competitions out there who are thinking about entering a competition such as the Mrs. Maryland. Why should they enter, and how will it change their life based on your experience?
I think it'll change your life tremendously. One of the things is you have to look within yourself to say, really, do I want to take this journey? Am I passionate enough about what I want to do and the message I want to bring forth, or the message I want people to hear? If you dig deep within yourself and you feel it and you know you can do it, then the sky is the limit. You can really get out there and get your support system behind you, get your mind ready, and get ready. And I've always said, win, lose, or draw, you have to look at what you've put into it and what you want to get out of it.
Excellent. That's a wonderful pep talk for you. So I won't give my usual pep talk this week because Miss Sandra Bryan-Grier said it so perfectly. And so if folks want to get more information on you, to find out about some of the great work that you're doing, how can they do that?
They can go to mrsmarylandinternational.webs.com, and they can also go to sandrabryan-grier.wix.com.
.wix.
Yes.
.wix.com. Thank you so much. You're
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you.
All right, people. We are going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll be wrapping with another queen who I'm very proud of because she is the first Jamaican woman to have won the Miss Caribbean Metro Beauty Pageant. Stay tuned. We're going to be right back.
I've been in love with you for a long time. You never stop finding ways to blow my mind with your beauty that even steals time. I'm talking about the mother of mankind. Ooh, black woman.
welcome back, everyone. In the first segment, we wrapped with Mrs. Maryland 2011, Sandra Bryan-Grier, and in this segment, we're talking to a younger beauty queen, beautiful beauty queen, and she is the first Jamaican lady to have won the Miss Caribbean Metro pageant in the 5-year history of the pageant. Welcome to PEP Talk, Miss Stefanie Belnavis.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Okay, so I have to admit something now that I could not admit before, that I had an evening that I hung out with a bunch of girls, and I said to my friend,
A crazy bunch.
she's going to win. She's going to win. But I couldn't say that, because I didn't want to sound biased and start promoting. And I was not there at the competition, so I did not vote for Stefanie at the competition because I was away. But let's talk about your history. You're Jamaican. You recently came from Jamaica. When did you come from Jamaica and why did you come to the States?
Okay, you are correct. I was born and grew up in Jamaica. I came to the States in 2009. So fresh. As they say. Yep. I came here because previous to that, I studied in England. I did my bachelor's in contemporary dance in Manchester, in the UK. And, try to get a job. You know how it is in this market. Didn't work. So I said, of course, there's always home. And my parents will always tell you can always go back.
Exactly.
So I went home to Jamaica. It was good to be home, but there are other things I needed to do. I'm very, very, very passionate about dance movement therapy. And I really wanted to further my studies. So I've decided to make that move in 2009. And it's been an interesting ride so far. That's still the goal, as well as other things as well. But that's still the goal right now. So.
Okay, well, you have a dancer's body, I can tell you. Very sleek.
Really? You think so?
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Nice little body. And did you, prior to the Miss Caribbean Metro, did you enter any beauty pageants before?
No, this was actually my first beauty pageant. I've done some modeling before for some of my friends who have franchises in Jamaica, like a jewelry line, and one of my other friends who have a clothing line. Pieces of Bianca and Yadi Conscious, just to put that out there. But I didn't actually. If you had had this conversation with me in 2009, I wouldn't have had any idea that I'd have been entering a pageant in 2011. It was something that I'd never really considered or thought of doing. But a lot happened since then.
Okay.
In 2010, I lost vision in my left eye. And with that, I went through a series of self-evaluation, feeling like, not feeling like the person that everyone else was seeing. And that kind of inspired me to really live each day to the fullest and not let everything hold you back. And one of the steps I took was entering this pageant. And I know people may think that may be superficial, but to me, it was like, this is something that I actually can do with this injury, but, it hasn't really stopped me. So that's one of the reasons why, as well as other things as well, but that was one of the main reasons.
Okay, and before we came on camera, I spoke to you and you said that your girlfriend, Abby Charles, who was a crowd favorite last year, I have to tell you, man, the competition was so close last year. And you said, you met Abby, and talk about that, why you really decided to enter after having spoken to Abby.
I actually met her through a dance-related project we're working on here in DC, and lost contact with her, and then randomly I just got a Facebook message from her saying, hey, there's this pageant, I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, the Miss Caribbean Metro USA. So I went on the website, didn't know anything about it, but what grabbed me was that they geared these young ladies as being role models for the Caribbean community, especially the younger generation. And to me, that's something that I think is absolutely important. It's something that's lacking, whether female or male, just having a role model, because I had so many when I was younger. Growing up in the Caribbean, I was fortunate enough to grow up in the Caribbean, but for someone who's here in the States who wants to connect to their Caribbean heritage, it's kind of hard sometimes to find those individuals that you can actually look up to. And that's what really struck me with this particular pageant. It wasn't a normal beauty pageant. It had something more, some more substance to it. So I was like, okay, let's see where this goes.
Okay.
Gave my application, and the rest is history.
All right, the rest is history, but I want to talk about that process. You say, okay, I'm going to do this for myself as well as to see, because of what the pageant represents. Tell me about the preparation. We know you have the dancer's body. We know you have the speech, because I'm talking to you and you're very eloquent. You have a very diverse background because you were in the UK and you grew up in Jamaica and you're fresh from Jamaica. So we know what you came here with. But talk about the actual physical and mental preparation to enter this pageant.
It's a lot to consider going into it, but I think the ladies, I have to big them up. Jackie Bromfield, Cheryl Guy Gordon, and Marlene, Hope, everyone. They really prepped us each week. It was like about 6 weeks leading up to the pageant, and we worked on our walk, we worked on obviously the dance routine. They were always giving us advice and just really trying to make you the best contestant. It was rigorous, I'd have to say it was. You know, you work full time, you have rehearsal until almost 10 o'clock. It's one of those, but it was actually very, very, very worthwhile. And actually a humbling experience because for me, yes, you grew up in the Caribbean and you grew up in Jamaica especially, you're usually more than likely going to be around Jamaicans. I was now introduced to Trinidadians, there was one Panamanian, 2 ladies that were representing Haiti, and another that was representing St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And it was just good sharing, you know, the commonalities and the differences and just having that kind of camaraderie, which I think was one of the best things I took away from the pageant, because I'm actually still very good friends with some of them.
Awesome, awesome.
Yeah,
and let's talk about this. I'm going to put rivalry as a placeholder, because you go in a competition, you're going in to win.
Yeah.
You look at other women, you have to compare yourself with them because you're looking at their strengths versus your strengths and weaknesses and stuff. At any point, did you think that you had a very good chance of winning?
I was actually always very unsure up to the day, up to when they announced it. I was actually very unsure because there were the contestants this year came with it. Like they really, really came with it. And I think as well, even though everyone came to win, we were all supporting each other. So it's, you know, it was trying to find that balance. So it was pretty tricky. To be honest, I didn't know. I didn't know where it was gonna go, up or down. I actually won the talent segment. Okay. So I was like, okay, all right. But then when I heard who was in top 5, it just threw everyone for a loop. It just, yeah.
Okay. And one of the things that I like about this pageant is that you know, all the Caribbean queens have their posse and them crew and them cheering corner. And you told me prior to us coming on camera that your crew, the Yada crew, came with some Dutch pants.
Listen.
Talk about that.
I know you said you didn't come this year, but you missed it. I think anyone that went this year would have known or heard my friends because they came with 10 million Jamaican flags and a huge silver Dutch pot cover with a wooden spoon, you know? Yeah. Like how we do when you go to the stadium to watch a football match, it was a scene. And actually, everyone at first were, you know, people who aren't familiar with that kind of behavior.
Right.
We're kind of looking at first, but after a while, they're like, you know what, it's fine. It was interesting, to say the least.
And how did you feel? You're on stage, you're trying to focus on your talent, you're trying to focus on your walk, you're trying to focus on impressing the judges, and you hear the Dutch pan beating.
You know what?
Was it distracting?
No, it made me feel at home, to be honest, because I didn't have my immediate family there. They're all back home. So this was my US or DC family that came to support me, and I felt like I was at home. I mean, that actually made me more calm because I was like, at least, you know, they're representing.
Score 1 for the Dutch part. We love that. Yeah. So I want to talk about your talent piece. I wasn't there, and since I've been back, I've been running like crazy. So I haven't really asked people about the talent. What did you do for your talent piece?
Not surprisingly, I danced.
You danced?
Yes, I did. I did a reggae mix, but I played around the field. You know, when you wake up on a Sunday morning, breakfast is being cooked, and you have the radio playing in the background, and you're surfing through the channels, and you're hearing some reggae, some soca, some oldies, and I actually focused my piece along One Blood by Junior Reid, and then, you know, the On the Floor by Vybz Kartel, the rhythm. Not the lyrics, just the rhythm. And it was just highly entertaining because everyone who, I guess, is Caribbean could more understand that kind of love for music and the diversity of the music. And then obviously the movement was
good. And you won the talent piece.
I did.
And we know that you were very good in your swimsuit. But let's talk about let's talk about that famous part. And someone told me that the ladies this year did not respond well to the questions. Okay. This is what she said. She said she thought they did horribly when they were asked a question. Do you remember the question you were asked?
Yes, I was actually asked about affirmative action and if I thought it was something that still needs to be infiltrated in today's society. I think preparing for it, we did get the questions the night before, or a series of questions. You know, everyone prepares differently. For me, I like to just have natural answers and like not overdo it. I think some of the young ladies got a bit caught up with that. Maybe could have been a result as to why you got that feedback. But I think generally, I can only speak for myself, and I just went into it thinking that I'm having a conversation with the judges, and I think that's what maybe helped my response because, yeah.
Okay. So this is the $1 million question. Hopefully you can remember. How did you feel at that moment when you realized that you were crowned Miss Caribbean Metro 2011?
I was very, very humbled. Very, very, and in shock as well. It was like a mixture.
Yeah.
But I was really, really humble because I didn't know where it was going. I'm confident in the judges in their decision, for sure. But I was really, really humbled. I didn't expect it. It kind of hit me for 6, but yeah, I was very humbled.
Okay.
Still am.
You still are very humble, and you're the first Jamaican to have won it in the 5-year history
You know how
of
we
the pageant.
do. You know how we
have to come
Jamaica.
in.
Yeah, man.
I will come in at some point. And I have to hand it to you. I saw you at the Jamaican Independence celebrations the other day, hobnobbing with the Governor General and all those fancy people.
I'm easing into
You're
the
easing
appearances,
into
yes.
So we know that you have a lot of those appearances to come. What does the Caribbean Metro pageant afford you as far as speaking engagements and carrying the Jamaican flag as the 2011 Caribbean Metro Queen? What are some of the things that you have to do?
I'm automatically assumed as an ambassador for this pageant, as well as some of the causes that they're involved in, as well as my own.
Okay.
So, as I said, my platform was based on, or is based on, arts education, especially for special need kids and adults. So, you know, I'll be working on those certain projects throughout my reign, but the actual pageant itself, it's more, you know, getting involved in the Caribbean community. Not just, I am Jamaican and I'm very proud, but I'm also a representative from the Caribbean. So for me personally, I'm excited to learn about the different Caribbean islands and, you know, their formalities, as it is.
Okay. And we know that you were recently crowned. I don't even think it's a month already.
Just over.
Just over
Yeah.
a month. How has your life changed in that month since you've been crowned?
Dramatically. It's just been like everything is 10 million times more exciting. I've met a lot of interesting people already, and I'm sure I'll continue to do so. It's just, I feel like my passions and everything is just, it's amplified. I can't even explain it, to be honest. It's just I'm very excited for this year ahead, and what's to come. Yeah.
What's to come. So do you have any plans to enter into other pageants?
We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see.
And, you know, maybe you'll be Mrs. Maryland 2000 and something in the future, because we just wrapped with her earlier. But on a personal note, what is going on in your life, like for the rest of 2011? Like a personal thing. Forget about Miss Caribbean Metro. You know, you spoke about losing sight in your left eye. You overcame that obstacle. You proved to yourself you could do something. You won the pageant. What's going on with you right now?
I am literally, I know a lot of people here, but I'm literally living every day, one day at a time, and really not trying to waste any day with any bad energy. Just, I'm giving out positive vibes. And it's not a cliche, it's how I live my life, to be honest with you.
Honestly, I am feeling the positive vibes. I don't want this interview to end, but we have to. So before you leave, please, I want you to give the women who are watching, the young women from the Caribbean, one reason why they should consider entering a pageant such as the Miss Caribbean Metro pageant.
I think try and step outside of yourself and really see who you are. I'm not saying that a pageant can do that, but this is a good outlet, a good medium to really challenge yourself.
Challenge yourself.
Yeah.
Awesome. And how can they find out more about you personally?
You can find out about me on...
Not the stalkers, no. The people who want to talk to her for her brain and all of that stuff. How can they find you?
You can find me on Facebook at StephanieDiane.com. But Facebook.StephanieDiane. Also, my email is StephanieDianeDance@gmail.com.
Awesome. Awesome. And of course, if you'd like more information on the Miss Caribbean Metro pageant, that website is MissCaribbeanMetro.com. Until next time, remember that inner beauty is more important than outer beauty. But when you're someone like Stephanie who has both inner and outer, you're gonna lead, right? So I want to
Fabulous.
thank you again for coming to PEP
Thank
Talk.
you,
Love your
Pepe.
energy.
Love you
Love
too.
your energy. We'll see you next time on another episode. Keep it locked.
I've been in love with you for a long time, and you never stop finding ways to blow my mind with your beauty that even steals time. I'm talking about the mother of mankind.